Welcome to the Reduced Shakespeare Company podcast, now on YouTube. Be sure to turn on the captions below, and thanks for watching. Okay, all right, good evening. We're about to get started. And I say we when it's just sort of me. Thank you so much for coming out. I see so many friendly faces. And some new faces, which is fantastic. Well, I was about to say something, but I'll save it until when we're actually recording, which we're about to start right now. No, I'll get you. Sit down. Now? This is going to be so good on the night. After this rehearsal. Yes, thank you. If everybody can laugh and make noise as much as Dee just did right there, that would be great. Yeah, even better. That's good. Oh, we're off to such a good start. All right, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is, wherever you are. I'm Austin Titchener, co-artistic director of the Reduced Shakespeare Company, and you're listening to this week's Reduced Shakespeare Company podcast, now in its 20th year, episode number 1000. The Annoyance Theater. This is such a special event for me, and before I start and forget, I want to thank Jennifer Estlin for allowing us to record this here tonight. I was all nervous about, I've never done a live podcast before. How is this ever going to work? But you guys record live podcasts here all the time. So we're all in very, very good hands. Thank you for coming out. I want to talk to you a little bit, tell you a little bit about the history of the RSC Podcast before we get to the main event, which is our interview conversation with Jennifer Estlin and Mick Napier. To do that, well, first of all, somebody asked, I've never been to Mike. In fact, somebody, not a vague person, it's Mike right there, sitting next to Dee, asked, I don't know how to behave in a live podcast recording, which is perfect because I don't know how to host a live podcast recording. We're all going to go on this journey together. The first thing I want to do, well, I'll tell you a few fun facts about the RSC podcast. I started it December 7th, 2006. And I know that was exactly 1,000 weeks ago. I have not missed a week in all of those years of posting episodes. Thank you. This is we are officially the longest running weekly theater podcast in the world. We're heard in over a dozen countries, the top 10 of which are the US, Singapore, Taiwan, UK, number 4. Yeah, I think the UK can step it up myself. At number 4, that surprises me. Japan, Canada, Australia, Germany, Italy, and Ireland. And there are other countries I know, but the only way I can find out what those countries are to pay more to Blueberry for a deeper dive into our demographics. And this is a very reduced podcast. We don't put any money into it. It's all me. So enjoy. Thank you for coming and spend a lot of money at the bar and tip well. So to talk about the other thing that I do is edit these podcasts every week. And this is sometimes the most time-consuming part of it, is editing out all the awkward stumbles and unintentional bad phraseologies like I just did. And it's all usually mine, not the guests. But one of the things, the guests have ranged, over the years, they've ranged from Brian Dennehy, on the one hand, artistic end of the scale, to Weird Al Yankovic on the other, to MSNBC's Lawrence O'Donnell, who before he was an incredibly valuable voice on the political scene, was just a drama nerd like the rest of us. Actors and comedians Rachel Dratch, Matt Walsh, J.K. Simmons, Susie Nakamura have all appeared on the podcast. Tony-winning directors Mary Zimmerman, Robert Falls, playwrights Lauren Gunderson, Sarah Rule, Rajiv Joseph, best-selling novelists like Christopher Moore, Nicole Gallant, and Louis Byard, and Starship Captains Elizabeth Dennehy and Scott Bakula. We have run the gamut, and now, finally, here to help me talk about the origins of the podcast is our fellow Reduce Shakespeare Company actor, veteran alumni of the Second City Training Center, where he was in the 5th level class with my wife, Dee Ryan.
Hurry up, I'm almost sitting down.
And alumni of Clown College and a former clown with Ringing Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. Please welcome Matthew Croke.
You know, I hate to start it sappy, but seriously, congratulations. 1,000 weeks without missing a week. That is very impressive. Congratulations.
I appreciate that. And almost every week now with my guests, I do say the only thing that would make this conversation better is if we could be doing it in a pub. And tonight, we sort of get to be doing that. So again, thank you, Jen, and for letting us do this.
By the way, I was kidding when I said start a podcast. So for the love of God, will you stop podcasting? Stop.
No, that was going to be my first. Matt was and still remains my podcast whisperer about the value of a podcast, how one should think about it, all the action, the medium, the content, the concept, where the most activity in the podcast space is. Matt now works in corporate America, so he uses phrases like the space.
How are your KPIs, by the way? Are you really keeping track of that on the aggregate level if you subtract the negative from the positive?
I put the clamp on my arm every morning and I test my KPIs. And
Austin, that's
something else?
Business terms.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
We'll move on.
And I just edited myself. Just so you know, I leave in shits and bleep out.
No? Okay.
So if you're going to be in the audience heckling, don't make me do a lot of editing. But I'm happy to edit as much as you want. Well, Matt, why did you think that this was such a good idea?
You know, the podcast seems like a perfect forum for the Reduce Shakespeare Company, especially like old-time radio, right? We do old-time radio bits with the complete history of America, the art of storytelling. I love podcasts because I consume that. I like the intimate. I was a Harry Carey guy. I would listen to it on the radio instead of watching it on TV. Yep. I just love that medium, and it seemed like the perfect fit for you and Reed and the Reduce Shakespeare Company.
The thing that made us nervous at the beginning was this was in 2005, we had shows running in London for 10 years, where actually we hold 2 Guinness World Records. The first one is the longest running Shakespeare show in London's West End, where we ran from 1996 to 2005 at the Criterion Theatre. The second one is the highest Shakespeare performance, when several of our UK-based members of the company performed Romeo and Juliet on what was the name of the airline now?
Concorde?
No, it wasn't JetBlue, it wasn't Air.
I cannot help you out here.
No, what? WestJet. No, it was something Airjet.
EasyJet.
No, it was some lame UK airline that was so desperate for marketing that they hired us to. Anyway, we performed Shakespeare on a flight from London to Verona at 37,000 feet, and that's how we were able to set that Guinness World Record. But once we were closing in London, we wanted to figure out what could we do? How could we provide content, a word we did not use 20 years ago, to our fans in the UK and also then our fans around the world.
I still think you're trying to figure out, we talked about it, how much is it about you, how much is about the content? And I still argue more Austin, like more your personality, because newsflash, Shakespeare's not going anywhere, and yet you have a personality, a very engaging, and so to just lean into that, I thought would be the perfect relationship between you and podcast media.
Well, yes, I agree. The Reduce Shakespeare Company perspective is a lot of people's way into Shakespeare and even some of the larger topics that we've reduced, like the complete history of America, or the Bible, the complete Word of God abridged, or completely Hollywood, or all the great books, sports, blah, blah, blah. But we were worried because we thought it would require writing. And we're lazy, and we don't want to have to create comedy every week, but we realized that we could just banter, I think.
Well, this was the cusp of social media. So how do you keep engaged with your listeners, with your followers? This is how old the podcast is. When the podcast started, the iPhone was just released, just announced.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Nancy Pelosi was just elected the first woman Speaker of the House. That's how long this podcast has been going. So social media, all that was not really out there, and this was a way to keep in contact with your fans. You had a chat board. Remember the old chat board? I thought this would be that times 10.
Right, we had a chat board on the old Reduced Shakespeare Company website, and we had an official league of transcribers. Just a bunch of young people, young fans, who, bless them, have all grown up and gone on to have lives, which is incredible, but also they would just transcribe every episode, which is something, honestly, I wish I could get back to. It's just time consuming. I don't get paid to do this. We don't take advertisers.
So what is, you get to see a lot of shows.
Yeah.
You get to meet a lot of people. What has been fulfilling for you in these 20 years of doing the podcast?
The most fulfilling thing has been able to turn a microphone on the fascinating conversations I have with so many talented people from around the world. Actors, writers, improvisers, comedians, tragedians, Shakespeareans, scholars. Frequently we'll have a conversation and I'll go, wait, hold on a second. Let me get my microphone. Can I turn the microphone on?
Save it for the tape.
Save it for the tape, yeah. The podcast is a beast that must be fed every week, and my hope and goal this evening is to get 2, possibly 3 episodes out of tonight's conversation.
And then I guess people want to know what has kept you going 1,000 weeks. Again, I am very impressed. I don't think if I keep saying it, I mean it's a very huge accomplishment. What has kept you motivated not only to keep doing content, but to get it out on time? You haven't missed a week.
I haven't missed a week, but there have been times when there have been delays.
You are so hard on yourself. You keep saying that.
Yeah.
Hey, you haven't missed a week.
I haven't missed a week.
But we're putting it on the billboard. We're not putting you haven't missed a week. Well, I missed a day.
Don't overthink it. Yeah, no. Basically because I love it. That's been the.
Aww.
Wait, everybody can do that better. Aww. Very good. That was
You also
good.
could have done a little better.
No, that was good. No, I do love it. I'm an actor. I'm a director. I'm a playwright. I run a small business. Sometimes I teach. I write these monthly articles for the Folger Shakespeare Library, and all of that's very rewarding. But I do have this fantasy that somebody would just pay me enough money to do just one of those things, and that would be great. And gun to my head, if I had to choose, I would do the podcast every week. Because it's these sorts of conversations, not this one particularly that you're sitting through, but most of the conversations I have, the ones we're about to have with Mick and Jen, are really interesting.
And what's been your evolution? We've had many conversations. Is it about Shakespeare? Is it about theater? Is it about you? You stayed in the background for a lot. I've said more Austin. People want you laughing. People want to hear from me. Where are you right now of what you think this podcast is? And it's still evolving.
It's constantly evolving. The podcast is basically an audio blog of what my interests have been week to week for the last 20 years. Some of the episodes that have gotten the most amount of response have been the more personal ones, featuring my kids when they were little, or my kids when they're doing their first plays in high school or whatever, or we have lost family members amongst our crew. You lost your wife. That was a very she died of cancer. You didn't lose her.
I know where she is.
We know she
passed away.
She's dead.
By the way, Austin, and when we're at the house, so my wife passed away 3 months after my third daughter was born, and the Reduced Shakespeare, that's when I left the Reduced Shakespeare Company. These guys have been more than generous, and Austin had me on the podcast. As Austin and Dee are leaving, house is full of people. He turns and goes, Matt, if you ever need anything out in California within a 10-mile radius, give me a call. I'm your guy. And walks out. And I had to explain to why everyone there while you weren't a jerk. And I'm like, no, that was actually really funny. That was quite funny. Thank you, Austin. Yeah.
I know not to overpromise. Overpromise and underdeliver.
But yes, that the podcast has been through all those.
It's been through all those milestones, and some of it, and because it's gotten such a big response, those episodes have gotten such a big response, it has made me wonder whether, should the podcast be more personal every week, be more earnest and sincere? I don't think, I'm not wired for that kind of earnestness and sincerity. It's hard for me.
This is where we disagree, by the way. We have long conversation. I want more Austin. I want more personality. He wants more who he's interviewing, which is fine.
Yeah, my default mode is self-deprecation over self-promotion, which is why I really only sent the press release out about tonight this afternoon. So I'm not really good at that stuff.
But it's what's great about it is that there are so many podcasts who want to start, and they say, well, I'm for everybody. And as you know, if you're for everybody, you're for nobody. The niche podcast is the way to go.
Well,
whether it's Shakespeare, whether it's theater, whether it's people who like you have been very successful about staying core to that niche, and well done on that.
Well, thank you. And I think the Reduced Shakespeare Company generally is its own niche of a cult sort of organization. We're not Blue Man Group. We're not even anymore the play that goes wrong. Yeah. I think that has usurped our popularity, and it's hard to distinguish what I should talk about every week because I have so many interests. I could be just a Shakespeare podcast. I could be just a theater podcast, or just a comedy, or just a novelist. But I'm not. I'm interested in storytelling. And so I think that's the common thread in what all of my guests do. Some of them do it with a pen and a computer. Some of them do it by improvising on stage. Some of it by acting some other people's lines. Some of it by writing lines for other people to say.
And I think, and we've talked about this too, I think, in today's times, storytelling is not going away. People they need that escape.
Right.
They need to, to make sense of things. Yeah. And so I think the future for you in this podcast, is another, 1,000. I think you're in a really good position and very excited about,
Finish that sentence.
Really excited about what's to come next.
Perfect. That was such a great ending to this part of tonight's program.
I just ended my
Matthew Croke, everybody.
I want to come back.
You can come back. We will take questions. We can take questions at the end. We can run out and get more beverages. This is the middle part of the episode, which I'm going to say now, but it won't be the middle part of the evening. It's like the first third of the week, or first third of the evening. Every week, in the middle of the episode, I make an announcement about our tour dates, and that's what I'm going to do now. So, we're the new RSC, the RSC. In this first half of 2026, we'll be performing all the great books abridged in Reston, Virginia, and Sault Ste. Marie in Holland, Michigan. And we're finally returning to the UK with a newly reimagined production directed by RSC founding member Adam Long of the show that started it all, the complete works of William Shakespeare abridged to more than 30 cities in the UK, including Chipping Norton, Basingstoke, Worcester, Epsom, Coventry, Huddersfield, Salisbury, Bristol, Guildford, Lichfield, Southampton, Poole, Hertford, Bedford, Tunbridge Wells, Newbury, Taunton, Exeter, Northampton, Bolton, Watford, Oxford, Ipswich, Bury St Edmunds, Keswick, Newcastle, Doncaster, Wakefield, and York. Check out the touring page on our website, reducedshakespeare.com, or our social media pages for venue and ticket information. And now, finally, to the main event, where I can put my self-deprecation mode back on and throw focus to my guests. I want to interview these two theater pioneers for years. And I think it just proves the old adage that these things happen when they're supposed to happen. So to be able to talk to you guys tonight on the stage of your theater, where I have never performed, actually, not once, is very, very special to me. Please welcome our hosts tonight, the founder and artistic director and executive director of Chicago's Annoyance Theater, Mick Napier and Jennifer Estlin. Thank you, and if you share that, please.
Absolutely, thank you for having us. We're very excited to be here. Thank you.
Oh, you're very excited to be on your stage.
With you, for your first time.
Yeah, for my first time, that's right, thank you. You're being very gentle, and I appreciate it. Your whole staff is great. I want to talk about, the Annoyance Theater. When do you mark the beginning of the Annoyance, Mick? What year?
Probably 1987.
87. So we're coming up on 40 years. This is year 39.
Yeah, I started when I was 3 years old.
You're a child, and you're from Indiana, right? Are you?
Yeah, I was born in Kentucky. I went to school in Indiana.
Okay.
University.
What brought you to Chicago?
Second City, to study at Second City and to be an actor there, and I ended up morphing into a director.
And more, not just a director, but a pioneer, a theater owner, an author of Improvise, Seen from the Inside Out. And dare I, do you like the term guru?
I don't care for it so much. I don't care for it. I have an aversion to facial hair a little bit. But I say that only in a gay way. Was Annoyance founded on a belief to be the alternative to Second City? Was there something about Second City that you wanted to do, made you want to do something completely different? I think so. I don't believe it was a conscious, rebellious thought, but it certainly was the thought of, I'd like to do theater that I don't think can exist at IO or Improv Olympic at that time in Second City. And that had a group of friends create Splatter Theater, which was a blood show. That was our first show. And then our next show was Co-Ed Prison Sluts, the musical. Yeah. So it was kind of like that. Yeah, and that ran for 14 years here in Chicago. But the Tribune won't admit that. It's okay. That's all right.
Yes, we can talk about critical insufficiencies. That's a longer conversation. And you also revived Splatter Theater just recently, or before the pandemic, right?
Well, each Halloween we do it, so it kind of comes around, and we have new people that direct it and new people that are in it. So it's kind of a rite of passage in a weird way to get all bloody and go on.
For the performers and the audience.
It's a metaphor for life, because never mind, it's not.
If you can survive Splatter Theater, you can survive life. The shows, these famous shows at the Annoyance, like Co-Ed Prison Sluts, like the Real Live Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
These shows launched the careers of a lot of very famous people who are still working today. Was that always the goal?
It wasn't. It was kind of a happy accident and stuff. And these are people that went on with the Real Life Brady Bunch and with other shows throughout the years and stuff. So it's been kind of a happy incident.
And now, the Annoyance has been not only a launching pad for so many people, but it's become an artistic home, as we used to say in the 90s, for a lot of different performers, right? And still, do you still get alumni returning back to do shows?
We do, and everyone's pretty kind to us when they look back on us and they come back and do stuff. We always refer to the Annoyance as kind of like an island of misfit toys in a weird way with the theater and improv community here.
Is there a way that you think about the difference between improv and scripted material? Do you use improv as a way to develop a scripted show, or do you like improv as its own art form?
Yeah, I'm fine with both. You know, I really am. I've never been a part of that famous Del Close, Bernie Sahlins argument about whether or not improvisation in and of itself is a performance art form, or whether or not it's a means to write a show.
Right.
And you can tell how bored I am talking about it. But the way I'm talking about it, I've said these words a couple of times. As a side note, Del Close on his hospital bed held my hand 2 days before he died, and he said, "Well, I guess I'm supposed to pass the baton of improvisation on to you, but personally, I don't give up." And then the very last thing Del Close ever said to me was, "Easy Jet."
Easy Jet. Well Googled, my friend.
You're welcome. But Co-Ed Prison was always a milestone for the Annoyance, and it was kind of a burden in some ways too. When we went to do corporate work, that name got in our way a lot because a company couldn't get past the words Co-Ed Prison Sluts.
Right.
When I started directing at Second City, Joyce Sloan told me she was afraid that I was going to bring something like Co-Ed Prison Sluts to Second City. Mm-hmm. And I told her I could adjust and not be funny. I can work there. So she allowed me to create homogenized 60% tourist-based audience shows, and it was all fine.
Well, I remember it being a big deal in the community that Second City had hired you back, that they had brought to direct a show, to bring your Annoyance vision back to the mothership of Second City. Was that any sort of a milestone for you, or was it like, oh, this will be fun?
Of course. I was in New York for 3 years before that, and I directed at Second City in the suburbs, and I went to New York, and I came back to direct the main stage. So it was a milestone for me. I was very scared, and it was, you're sitting at 3 o'clock in the afternoon in the main stage of the Second City, and you have 6 actors on stage improvising, and you do think to yourself, what in the world happened in my life that I have the main stage cast of Second City performing for me alone?
Yeah.
And then the second thought is like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Well, and who were some of those actors?
Well, I mean, those were like the Scott Adkins and Jim Zulik. One of the things I'm most proud of at Second City is I created the first equal gender cast. Before that, it had traditionally been 4 men and 2 women. And I was able to even out the cast and make it 3 women and 3 men. And the woman that evened out that cast was Tina Fey.
Yeah. So you were the one that discovered that women are funny.
I am the one that I continue lying about that. Speaking of women, here's my wife.
Yeah, there she is. I wanted to switch it over to Jen because I know you were involved with the art of this place, but I also know, particularly because I just found out that you used to be a stage manager, that you're deeply involved with the business of this place. And not only has it been an artistic home for so many artists and improvisers and folks over the years, but it's literally, you guys during the pandemic specifically did a lot of work to support theaters that were losing their spaces. Can you talk a bit about what you did there?
Sure. It was, as you can imagine, everybody was just freaking out during the beginning of COVID, and it went from, we left here and pretty much just left the bar as it was and sort of put up the chairs like we usually did, not thinking it was going to be 2 years later when we would come back. But after the first few months, it started to seem like, okay, this is a bigger thing and we don't have a way to survive. We're the kind of place that pretty much needs your weekly proceeds in order to survive. Yeah. So I actually started just researching, like, what are people doing or how are people getting through this, and came upon a grassroots group called Civil, which was the Chicago Independent Venue League, and that was primarily music venues that had originally come together to sort of activate against what they found to be some building that was going on that was going to hurt independent venues, and switched gears hugely during the time of the pandemic so that we could start to help each other in every way possible. And it was just different venues from all over Chicago, and we would meet weekly and figure out what politicians we could talk to and what other things were going on around the country that we could sort of join in with. And so we were able to get funding to go through it took a while, but the Shuttered Venue Operations Grant, the SVOG, saved many, many venues throughout the country. And so, and Civil was a big part of that, and we were really proud of being able to do that. And it really did, it saved us, it saved so many theaters.
And yes. That Shuttered Venues fund gave the Reduced Shakespeare Company some money and helped us get through sometimes too. Am I right that you had a sympathetic landlord? Are you able to talk about that?
Our landlord worked with us.
Oh, very good. Oh. Well said. Well said. But other folks didn't. Were you able to, once you were able to survive, did you offer classes over Zoom?
We did some of that. We did, we tried everything. When the very first started, we locked ourselves in to the theater, and we put on a show that we had everyone living here for, I think it was 10 days, and we live streamed the experience.
Wow.
And we live streamed the rehearsals and playing around in the hallway at night. Everybody picked a place to sleep and put together a show in 10 days. And so we live streamed that whole thing and then live streamed the show. And then we all went to our separate homes, and then we started to do other things like online classes. We had online parties. just everything we could think of to sort of keep the community and make people remember that we were still hanging in there and hopefully would be able to come back. And so that was a really exciting thing was, after having these online parties to finally be able to say, like, we're going to be in person next week, come to the theater. It was very exciting.
Well, and you were able to give place to companies or individuals rehearsal space.
Yes.
And even tonight, for instance, you're not charging me anything for this event, so I really appreciate that. Yes, thank you. Applaud that, please.
They got married online as well.
We did.
Oh.
Extra money.
Oh, that's good. During the pandemic? No.
Yes.
Wow.
June 30th, and we saw, I think it was like the end of, or right at the beginning of April, we saw a story on CNN about how someone had a Zoom wedding, and we looked at each other and we were like, hey, that could work. Because we were engaged for years, and we could never figure out how to actually put a wedding on because we know so many people, and there were just lots of complications.
You couldn't possibly invite all of them. There was
that whole thing.
Inevitably, yes.
But we put a wedding together in like a month, and then did it online, and it was a blast.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I think that could be the next step forward for the Reduced Shakespeare Company podcast. Now that I think about it, live weddings.
There you go.
Live reduced weddings. Part of the active podcast space the kids are so into.
Are you an officiant? Are you an officiant?
I'm not an officiant, but I could spend 5 minutes online.
Sure.
And
We are. We've married a couple of people.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I bet that's very special.
It's fun. Yeah, it is fun.
But special for you guys and very special for them if they've convinced you guys to officiate their wedding.
Oh yeah, I've officiated 2 weddings.
And I have one coming up
Yes.
this summer.
Well, where can people sign up to get you guys? Is there a website we can go to? Jen, do you get, I know we're going to talk about your double act in a minute, but you act as well.
Yes.
Right? You are famously, at least famously in my mind and heart, Jerry Orbach, Lenny Briscoe's daughter on Law and Order from back in the day. That's applause. Sure, absolutely. But you were just recently in a movie too.
Yes.
What was that?
It's called Everything Fun You Could Possibly Do in Aledo, Illinois. And it's a really wonderful indie film that was shot in Aledo, Illinois, just after the pandemic, and it just came out on Amazon Prime.
Fantastic. All right, look that up. I'm going to keep talking to them, but for the moment, could I pimp you guys? Ladies and gentlemen, please give a great thank you to Mick Napier and Jennifer Estlin. This is so much better than doing it in my office, a live audience. But now I want to talk about the double act that you guys do. Mick and Jen, or Jen and Mick, depending on how they do the poster, do close-up magic and mentalism act. Are you doing it right now?
Yeah, if you're reading my mind, I'm bored. No. Oh, you're not.
So some of the trick is just body language. All right, I get it.
So we saw a gentleman named Mark Salem in the Village in New York 25, 30 years ago, and he did this thing, and I leaned over to Jennifer and said, I want to learn how to do that, and that launched our interest in mentalism. So we developed a 2-person act, and we do it here and there. I would consider us hobbyists, but we do it professionally as well.
Well, and we saw you do your act at the Chicago Magic Lounge, right?
Yeah.
Magic Lounge,
That's right, the Chicago Magic Lounge. We did a run there for a month, yeah.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Chicago Magic Lounge is also one of the best kept secrets here in Chicago.
It really is beautiful.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place to go and take friends from out of town who are tired of going to whatever, the Goodman or the Bean or whatever.
Yeah, great date place.
A great date place. Well, great. Tell us all the tricks involved with mentalism.
Well, we do quite a few. Jennifer will be blindfolded. I'll go to the audience and have them produce any objects they want. And Jennifer will be able to tell them like what the color of the object is, what it's made of, what the object itself is, and stuff like that. She'll be able to discern what the serial code is on a bill.
That's incredible.
I'm doing a thing for like the third time, I think. I'll see if I can describe it quickly. I have someone take a clump of playing cards from my hands. I look at the ones and try to figure out which ones are missing. And then I have another person come up on stage and multiply a 2-digit number by itself 5 times to arrive at a number between 200,000 and 10 billion, and they write that on a board. And then I try to call out which playing cards this person's holding and try to figure out the 2-digit number that arrived at that large number while reciting Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven out loud.
And are these...
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's hard. I've done it 3 times. I'm going to do it the 4th time here in a couple of weeks.
If you think hearing him describe it is amazing, watching him do it is even more amazing. Are these skills you had already? Did you develop these skills? This is like juggling, a thing you practice, you learn how to do a thing, and then how does this, where are magicians born or made? I guess is my question.
Wow, that was a loaded question. I describe magic as, I can't believe someone went to that much trouble to do that.
Yes, okay.
And when we start our show is introduced like this. Hi, we're Napier and Estlin. I'm Mick Napier.
I'm Jennifer Estlin.
And in the history of mankind, we don't believe that anything psychic has ever happened.
But for the next little while, we're going to pretend as if we do.
And that covers us in case people think we're psychic. And we don't like to support the idea of psychic stuff and spiritualism and all that stuff.
Right.
We don't believe in it. So.
Right. Well, Jennifer, same question for you. Were these tricks tricks? I'm saying tricks, and I don't mean that in a reductive way. But I mean, were these skills you had to learn, or always from a child, from a young age?
Not from like being a child, but while I was in New York, coincidentally, and it sort of did end up being one of those things that said, okay, well, I guess I could sort of use those skills. Coincidentally, I, for a little while in New York, was a telephone psychic. So yes, they are fake.
What?
I worked for Kenny Kingston's psychic hotline. And my name was Vanessa Sawyer, and I was British. And because I was newer, my hours were from midnight until 6 in the morning. So I would take the calls that came in from midnight to 6. And I would lie in bed and made my light on a dimmer. That was pretty great. And I would have the phone next to my bed, and it would just ring at like 2 in the morning or something. And hello, this is Kenny Kingston Psychic Hotline. This is Vanessa. Can I help you?
Beautiful. And that started this. And was that also drawing more on your improv skills?
Yeah, I mean, it was using some skills that psychics or people who claim to be psychic definitely use, and so I learned some of those techniques.
Well, and speaking of these skills and techniques of listening, does some of it, and I don't want you to give things away, but I'm curious, does some of the act revolve around the subtle signals that people give off without even knowing that they're giving it off? Are you reading body language? Are you reading into
Yes.
people's words? You're reading what they're not saying, what they are saying?
Sometimes, and that can certainly help, for sure.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, mostly it's just like tricks, you know.
Yeah, but tricks, even the times I've seen you do close-up magic or we've been to the Magic Lounge, I don't know how they did it. I'm sure that there's a trick that they practiced for years and years and years, but it's executed with such skill and dexterity and aplomb. I'm still dazzled. I'm still impressed.
Yeah, and there's certain kinds of magic, like coin magic, that I enjoy so much that I purposely don't want to learn about it. I don't want to know about it. Because I want to still enjoy the magic of it and all that.
Maybe that's why I don't improvise. I want to be able to enjoy the magic, or it could be I'm just terrible at it.
It's real interesting. It's real interesting because people sometimes want to know the trick, and then they learn the trick, and then they're disappointed that they know it.
Right.
And that's kind of a metaphor that if you measure the fun you're in too much, or if you analyze it too much, it kind of dissipates the very fun you're in, which I could, of course, create a metaphor to improvisation. The more you measure it while you're improvising and in your head, the less playful you'll be, which I could also reckon it to like a trip to an amusement park when you're with someone that keeps saying, isn't this fun? And it's not because they keep saying that. So all of that, it's just all.
I love that idea is in the ether and that we're thinking about it, because the the new Marvel series Wonder Man, anybody? Nobody, just me. I just finished watching it, and it's all about how overthinking gets in the way of your artistry.
Wow.
And gets in the way of the enjoyment of the artistry.
Completely. Like, can you imagine having sex with someone and they're constantly going, "Are you having fun? Is it fun? Are we having fun?" No, we're not. I'm having fun. I'm having a chainsaw in your face right now.
Wait, you don't like that?
We are learning so much tonight.
And so little.
Does anybody have any questions for Mick and Jen about either their work as magicians, or about running the Annoyance Theater? I have a question about the Annoyance Theater. It might be the same one.
I have a question, Mick. It's like, what's like your takeaway after so many years? Like, it's amazing that you guys are still doing it. Oh my God, I've known you for a long time.
Yep, I know.
And I know the young Mick would never have said, I'm going to be doing this 40 years later, 30 years later.
If the microphones didn't pick you up, what would the young Mick say to the old Mick now, after having run the Annoyance and done such good work for so long?
I think the combination of like congratulations and what the hell are you doing, or what the hell did you do?
Yeah.
I remember, and I'll be very candid about this, like my philosophy has changed, I've changed, I've certainly grown older, but I did an interview for The Reader with Jack Helbig 30 years ago, and I have that article, and in that article I said the quote, "The last thing on earth I want to do is herald in a new group of young talent to the Annoyance." And that was at a time where I had a very, very empirical belief that we as an ensemble were going to stay together and create together for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
I was 26 or 27 at that time that I said that. And, that's changed. And that's all we've done is, fostered new people and stuff like that. We feel, Jennifer and I hate children, but we feel like that we've had, some
That's legit. I mean, it's a strangely paternal feeling, even though they're not your biological children. I totally get it.
Yeah, so it's been really an interesting journey. What are my takeaways, do you ask? And that is that I don't have any regrets with that, but I have a lot of regrets about a lot of things, and I'm real honest about that. I don't have any regrets about it. I've evolved a little bit. I jokingly say that improvisation is a hobby that went way south.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that.
Yeah.
I've grown to not enjoy comedy at all. I can't watch it. I try. My friends are on shows and stuff. I try to watch it, and it's really tough. The stuff I laugh at, like if I go to a film and laugh, it's probably a torture porn movie or something.
Yeah.
That makes me laugh. Jennifer.
Yeah. And what are your takeaways, Jen?
Well,
Or are you in the midst of taking them away now?
I think I'm still taking away. I think for me over time, it's changed from being something that sort of happened as a result of there needed to be somebody who was going to keep the Annoyance going at a time when we had lost our space, and I had just come back from New York, and so it became something that sort of I fell into, and then it became more, this is actually what I'm doing, and there's a purpose to it, and I guess more intentional. And so, and similarly, I didn't have the expectation that we would repeat the cycle over and over of the different groups that come and then they go and then they come and then they go. And that's been a great and also difficult sometimes thing. Just, it's hard to watch, to sort of like take people in and watch them develop artistically and watch their journey and then they're gone.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, if I have to like have another dinner where I'm saying that, amazing. So the place is looking good in Brooklyn. That's so cool. I think the Valley's, it's just boring going to like going away parties and
Yeah,
last nights at Second City and all that.
yeah, I can totally see that. Matt, did you have a question?
I'll go off of that question. With all the changes throughout the decades and with your change, what has stayed consistent? Like, what are the core strategies I'll use for engaging audiences, even with the magic that you're doing? What has stayed the same? What's the core strategies?
What core strategies have you learned about or kept using over these years?
I think honestly, it's been allow the people who are here to create what they have to say. Like, I think a huge mistake would have been for us to say, it has to be this style show all the time, or it has to be this type of creativity. It really is, and the thing that to me makes it fun still ever is that whoever is here at the time is able to create what they want to create and have it be specific to themselves as opposed to doing what the last group of people did.
Well, and that leads into the conversation that Dee and I were having about the corporatization of comedy here in Chicago specifically, and maybe theater nationwide. Both Second City and IO, and possibly UCB, I think, have been bought now by hedge funds, by people who like the name, the brand name, but have no idea how the work happens, how the work gets done, how the value in these names is created. And you just said it, Jen, that the value of the Annoyance is the generations of people who keep coming through here. Am I right about that?
I think so. I believe so. And I think that there's always the same amount of talent in Chicago. I think that people would like to judge that and go, well, back in the day and all that. I feel like there's always pretty consistent quality of comedy, especially in Chicago. And as far as the corporate nature of the city, that has changed a lot. Second City was bought by a private investment firm. IO was purchased by two realtors, so they weren't really a private investment. What's that?
Oh.
Yeah, developers.
Okay.
And Jennifer and I actually helped get IO back into business after these gentlemen bought it. They came to us and solicited our help to hire a new staff, kind of like introduce them to what that culture was. That's changed a bit. My desire to create, I used to have this fervor in me to make it all okay between Second City, IO, the Annoyance, and the whole community. And I still have that desire, but I don't have that fervor anymore because it feels so disparate and it feels a bit sterile.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not quite sure how to tap into that.
Yeah.
I'm proud that Jennifer and I are essentially of those bigger sketch comedy improv organizations, like the only mom and pop owned in a weird way.
Yeah.
And we kind of relish in that and stuff.
That's great. No, that's great. What a great. Yeah. Does anybody else have any questions for? Yeah.
Actually, two-part. Jennifer, to confirm, Miss Cleo is a fake.
Yes, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
my childhood has been ruined.
All right.
My second question.
I'm sure she believes that she's not a fake.
Who's that?
Fair.
And in fact, when I got the job for Kenny Kingston Psychic Hotline, I had to audition for the family that owned it. There were two sisters and a brother. And I am convinced that they believe that they are hiring psychic people.
So you had to convince them first that you were psychic.
Yes, and so I did a reading for the brother and one of the sisters, and then the brother told the second sister that they have a real talent. And so she made me do 2 readings for her because she was convinced that I had the gift.
Well, you do have a gift. It's just not the one that they think that you have.
Exactly.
Yeah. What was the second part?
My second part was, I know obviously Mick, you said that you quote unquote didn't want to raise the next generation of, obviously that's not true, you kind of have.
Yeah.
Was there a year or a particular group of people that when you watched them perform on this stage at the Annoyance, when you were like, wow, I am so proud of how far we've come? Like, did you have that gotcha
It's not really just different groups of people with different shows have kind of caught my eye here, and then individuals have along the way. What's that? Swear Jar, yeah. When I was directing 80 Bryant and Vanessa Bauer in the same show, I'm like, there's something going on here. And then Connor O'Malley, he and I became really good friends. Connor and I are kind of tied to each other for life because there was, at a very young age, like 18 years ago, we made a bet that if he would like lose a tremendous amount of weight, I would stop smoking at 3 packs a day. And I did, and I haven't smoked since, and he's in better shape than me, so.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. And Connor's one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life, and it was so great that he and 80, are together and all that. So there's certain people and certain shows, but there's so many people here that there's not like, oh my gosh, that ensemble is something to see. The different shows and different individuals and stuff, I really like, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's incredible. Any other questions for, yeah,
So what is the difference between, I know you're not directing so much anymore, but what, I think because I've known you so long, like when you left and you started doing TV, everyone thought you were going to stay in New York or go to LA. What brought you back, and and did you enjoy it? I mean, obviously the money must have been great.
It was in New York. I worked on a show called Exit 57, and that was with Amy Sedaris and Steve Colbert and Mitch Rouse and Jody Lennon and Paul Dinello. And that was a great time, and that was for 2 years. And that was on Comedy Central. So I had a love-hate relationship with it. And by the time that was over, and I also directed an off-Broadway show that David Sedaris wrote, and Amy was in it. So all of that was really great. And I came back to Chicago because primarily the Annoyance. Because I was kind of tired of being on that island in New York. And I also, the television environment, I wasn't sure about it and kind of made me uneasy. Since then, I've worked on 3 other television shows. By the third one in LA, and I was an EP on an NBC sketch pilot, I was texting Jennifer, I hate this. I am too angry of a person to do this. I can't pretend I respect these people. Like if I had to hear one more editor look back at me and go, wouldn't it be funny? And the answer is always, no, it wouldn't be. Or any producer, or to do one shot of comedy and then have 10 people at Video Village talk 20 minutes about it, just, overanalyze and, like I said, having sex, like, isn't this fun? No, it's not, and you're not fun, and you're not funny, and I hate you, and I hate you. And I describe Los Angeles as a place where the sun torments you as you wait for nothing. That's the way I felt there.
So many great aphorisms to go out on tonight. Any other questions for either these guys or me about anything, or would you all just rather?
I have a question about what was your favorite space? You guys have been all over the city. What was your favorite space?
Which is the favorite location that you've had, that the Annoyance Theater has been in all these years?
Well, the first one on Broadway and Briar when I was 27 and way out of my league for getting a theater, had a beautiful deck on it, and I lived in an A-frame house above it. Yeah. So there was a gay pride one day that might answer your question, where it was a beautiful sunshiny day, as most gay prides are, because God shines down on Gay Pride Day for some reason.
Yes, she does.
Thank you. Wow. Yes, they do. Anyway, it was a beautiful day, gay pride, prayed, 47 of us on this deck, tripping on acid. And that was a great day. And I look back at that space, it's kind of like an Andy Warhol wannabe kind of place where a lot, like 60 people at Keys, people were in and out all the time. And it had an A-frame house like a ski chalet, and it had a fireplace like a ski chalet. So it was just crazy, and a lot of fun, a lot of drinking, and a lot of crazy shows.
Was that the same year that Rich Fulcher ate all the beans?
Yes, that was that. And that was actually on a Gay Pride Day.
I know, we were there for that one.
You were?
Yeah,
We were there.
You were not
That
there?
explains everything.
Yes.
Well, I don't know. I guess that's nostalgically my favorite. I do like this space so much, though.
this space has a great location.
Yeah.
And
Belmont, Clark, it's great.
yeah, Jennifer, do you the same?
I think probably this space is my favorite overall because we were able to do 2 theaters and have a bar. But I also love the Clark Street space because there were all these little cool areas to do different things, and yeah, I just liked all the different ways that we could use the space there.
And where can people go to sign up for classes here at the Annoyance? I've taken 2 improv classes in my life. One with Jimmy Carrane a couple of years ago, somewhere farther north, and one on the Broadway space from the great and good Scott Robinson.
Oh, wow.
Back in the day,
Yeah.
and one of those kinds of teachers that you just want to. What? Huh?
Hori Pismo from the Lampshades.
Yes, Hori Pismo from
AKA.
AKA. That's what a great pull. Where can people go to find out more information about shows and classes here?
Our website is theannoyance.com.
Boom.
Wow.
Mick and Jen, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Can I plug one more thing?
Please.
We've been fostering an improv training, online training thing for a while called improvfiend.com. If anyone would like to join, $20 a month, different teachers from all around the world, and
Amazing.
they teach 2 Sundays, and then the third Sunday's a Zoom Q&A.
And I have to plug Mick's new book, which is called The God Lens, and it's a satirical book of biblical morality. And it's awesome, and it's available on Amazon.
Amazing. Big hand for the Oh yeah, the magic show. Where can people find out about that?
The Magic Show is at the Center for Inquiry, and they have a website, thecenterforinquiry.com.
Cool. That's
And the
an
date
L.
for performance?
On Valentine's Day, yeah.
Excellent.
Spend your time falling in love with us.
Anything else to plug?
No, but I want to say thank you so much for having us.
Oh,
We've had a
thank
great
you
time.
for hosting us.
Absolutely.
Please help me.
Congratulations on your 1,000. And I had perfect attendance in high school, and I thought I was doing good, but my Lord, you haven't missed 1 week.
Haven't missed a week in 1,000 weeks, and yeah, we celebrate the official 20th anniversary sometime October, November, when I got to do the math on that. And again, that's not a thing that I do. Thank you for helping me celebrate, you guys. Thank you so much. And thank you all for coming. We're done. Good night.